Hello everyone, Power here and welcome back to a new video. This one I'm going to be taking a look at some new reveals for Paldea Evolved, which will be our second Scarlet Violet set, releasing on June 9th. So we've got a Bellibolt EX to look at, as well as a Wo-Chien EX, and a bunch of other stuff. So Bellibolt EX, 280 HP, stage 1 lightning type, pretty solid amount of HP to have for an EX, especially because it's, above average for what we're used to with stage 1, so that is nice to see, definitely got the V-star HP. But has two attacks here, Jump Press and Paralyzed Ball. Jump Press does 50 damage to one of your opponent's Pokemon. Typically 50 damage snipe, nothing too crazy here. We're not even knocking out most basic evolving Pokemon, especially considering there's a whole bunch of them that are going to have like 70 HP, so not too bothered about Jump Press. And then Paralyzed Ball for Lightning Colorless does 160, and then you may discard 2 Lightning Energy from this Pokemon. If you do, your opponent's active is now paralyzed. So if we use Flaffy to charge us up, or maybe even the electricity generator, then that can be pretty good. Obviously a bit better with Flaffy because it synergizes better with having to chain them if we need to discard lightning energy. But overall, not the worst attack, honestly. When I initially read this card, I thought it was very underwhelming. But to be honest, Guarantee Paralysis is nothing to be sniffed at, especially when a lot of decks like, Lugia, for instance, don't run many switching cards. And of course, you can always play other attackers into matchups where the Paralysis isn't that good. So, yeah, doesn't seem like absolute garbage. But we do have some more reveals. We've got a Hoppip over here, a Skiploom, and a Jumpluff. Unfortunately, these are all just pretty bad. They have this same ability that we've seen before in the past, hasn't really done anything. If any damage is done to this Pokemon, you get to flip a coin if heads prevent that damage. Doesn't even seem good enough for GLC, to be honest. You're only doing 60 and then 30 snipes, so yeah, pretty bad evolution line overall. We also have the Pinnacle and Fortress EX, so I kind of wish they revealed Fortress EX with Wo-Chien from the beginning, because then I could review them together, but my opinion on Fortress hasn't changed any. I think if there's a good enough partner, then, being able to accelerate 5 basic grass energy from the deck is really strong. Obviously, you get to KO Fortress, so you have to KO him and go up 2 prize cards, which is really annoying. But you can at least combo it with the new N style card, which I'm not even going to try and pronounce her name. But anyway, you could play her after using Fortress. Unfortunately, Wo-Chien isn't really an ideal partner for Fortress. I think the best partner is probably Blissey. So like a Blissey Mimikyu or Blissey Miltank deck post-rotation. So that's where I think Fortress could be good. But yeah, nothing too crazy with Wo-Chien, because Wo-Chien truthfully doesn't have a whole ton of synergy. It does have a little bit of synergy with Fortress, but it's nothing too crazy. So 230 HP, which is quite nice, more on the bulky end. Tree cost of 4 is super annoying. It has 2 attacks, Devouring Ivy and Forest Burn. Devouring Ivy does 60 damage to one of your opponent's benched Pokemon, so has to target the bench, for each prize card your opponent has taken. So as soon as they knock out one Wo-Chien, you can do 120 snipe. As soon as they've knocked out 3 Pokemon, you can do 180. As soon as knocked out 4 Pokemon, that's 240. So you could in theory force them to knock out a Wo-Chien and a Fortress, so you can do 240 snipe. Then the problem becomes, if you're doing 240 snipe, that's great and all, but of course the opponent just needs to KO Wo-Chien at that point and they win the game. And unfortunately 230 isn't really as big as it seems. A lot of decks can definitely get there with modifiers like Miraidon with Regieleki, Mew VMAX with Power Tablets, Choice Belt, Lugia V-Star with just a Defiant Band or something. So yeah, I personally don't think this attack is super strong. Maybe in Lost Zone decks, funny enough, as like a late game spread option, I guess, is like a one-off, but yeah, unfortunately I don't think Wo-Chien is that strong. And then of course 220 for 4 energy is, it's pretty bad, so nothing too crazy there, unfortunately. But then we see Spiritomb, which has a super unique ability, Pitch Black Doom. As long as this Pokemon is in play, basic Pokemon V have no abilities, both yours and your opponent's. Interesting ability, but unfortunately I don't think there's too many applications for this. It does of course shut off Genesect, which is like the big one, I guess. Shuts off Drapion as well, which is pretty funny. Shuts off Wild Deer V and Luminion V, which are going to be maybe pretty big post-rotation. And maybe the Zacian V and Godvor decks, but honestly I don't think Pitch Black Doom really warrants a deck space in a lot of decks. Vanish is admittedly quite a nice attack to have on a control style Pokemon that you maybe don't want to have in play. So, you could start with Spiritomb and then you want it out of play because it doesn't give you any value. So you could do 10 damage and then move it. So that is nice to have at least. But honestly, I don't think this card is super good. it seems a bit niche overall. We then have Murkrow, which has the Wings of Union attack. I think the Waterol must have been mistranslated because I think it had a Dangerous Wings attack. And this is, Wings of Union, and people are saying Murkrow, Waterol, and Flamigo all have the same attack. So it's basically a Night March style reprint, and spoiler alert, Murkrow is arguably the best attacker in the deck. So for 1 Dark Energy, 20 for each Pokemon discard pile that have the Wings of Union. Important to bear in mind that we do have Ditto from Pokemon Go to copy this attack, so the damage cap is at least a little bit higher. And the Flamigo, which has 110 HP, has the really cool ability Flock Together. When you place Pokemon from your hand to your bench, you can search your deck for 3 other Flamigo and put them into your hand, which is really nice. It does also mean you could theoretically get other Flamigos that are not just, this card, of course, but you probably want to get this one because this is the attack that we need. It's not for 1 Dark, it is for 2 colors. And then it's basically the exact same 20 times modifier. It is a little bit bulkier than the Murkrow, which is always nice to have, but unfortunately it does mean you can't loop it with Rescue Carrier, and you will need 2 colorless energy. So we're definitely not trying to attack with Flamigo. This is the one we want to put in the discard pile. Of course, if there's one on the bench, that's really annoying, but of course we do have stuff like Collapse Stadium potentially to discard your own bench Pokemon. So if Collapse Stadium, I remember correctly, shrinks both your opponent's benched and your bench down to 3 Pokemon, then what you could do is bench Flamigo and then 4 other Pokemon, I guess, and then find the other Flamigo, play a Collapse Stadium, discard that Flamigo, and then play a Research and discard the 3 Flamigo from hand. I know it's like a lot of discarding you have to pull off, but yeah, this Flamigo Murkrow deck, it could be okay, to be honest. The Waterol hits weakness on Lugia, it's Lightning type, and then Murkrow hits weakness on Gardevoir and Mew, so there might be a little bit of potential, but 20 times just seems like such a low modifier in this day and age when, we've seen Pokemon with a lot higher HP than they were in the Night March era. So, yeah, but unfortunate in that regard. We also see a Giacomo, I think his name is, supporter. He's the Dark-type leader of the Team Stargrunt and has the effect of discard a special energy from each of your opponent's Pokemon. Pretty decent card overall, I would say. It's like a niche card for control and stuff because, against something like a Mew VMAX that's going to have, say, a Fusion Strike energy on 2 different Pokemon and then a double turbo, you can just discard all those energies. So, yeah, really nice. I don't think it's actually that strong against Lugia because typically Lugia wants to have all its special energy on 1 attacker, so you're only ever really discarding 1 energy of 4. And then, of course, they probably won't have energy on another Lugia if they know that you're, planning a Giacomo or something. So, yeah, I don't think this supporter is super broken or anything, but I do like the effect. Then we see Snow Mountain of Disaster, which is basically Old Cemetery, but for non-basic water Pokemon. So funny enough, if you play this in like a Gyarados EX deck, the boarding of this means that whenever you attach those 5 energy to Gyarados, you will be doing damage to yourself, which is really annoying. So what you have to do is Baxcalibur 5 energy onto a Magikarp and then evolve it into a Gyarados EX. But if you can do that, you will be rewarded because as soon as your opponent damages themselves, then Gyarados EX can take a 1-hit KO. So Gyarados EX with this stadium, yeah, seems pretty solid. And then Wilderness of Disaster, the retreat cost of each basic Pokemon except fighting Pokemon is 1 colorless more. So this is like a slightly nerfed Galarian theoretically, because it won't affect fighting Pokemon, and it is 1 colorless more, or 1 colorless less, I should say. So yeah, that's kind of sucks a bit, I guess. To be honest, fighting decks don't look to be super good post-rotation, but it is a nice effect to have in general in control decks, because, always getting more retreat cost, being able to trap stuff in the active is good. There's also the Spidops EX, which basically means this will be a plus 30 modifier for that deck if you're not playing a different stadium, so yeah, definitely a good card for Spidops EX if you're a fan. And yeah, something else to note is the amazing artwork. Got some these honestly look more like MTG lands than they do stadiums for Pokemon, but super cool to see regardless. But yeah, definitely some cool new stuff here revealed. Don't think too crazy, I would say. Wo-Chien seems to be okay with Fortress. Spiritomb's kind of cool. And then the Night March Mad Party style attackers, we'll have to see if they are any good. But yeah, definitely got some cool reveals. It's been Emra Power, and yeah, thank you for watching.